look at the top 25 matchups that we got for week 10 already. And let's start with a game that probably when the season started, we all thought was going to be one of the games of the year with Ohio State and Penn State. It's certainly not that anymore. Ohio State minus 20.5 against the Nittany Lions at home. Total in the game is 43.5. Now, you guys know if you watch this show, the way my brain works is I see a game like this and I immediately think, wouldn't it just be so Penn State for them to pull off the upset against Ohio State, right? All those years where this was a top 10 matchup, where they had Franklin on the sideline and they played Ohio State and they could never beat them. And now Penn State is having this kind of season. Franklin's gone. And what if they just go in there and they win the game with the backup quarterback, with Jim Knowles as the defensive coordinator facing his former team, right? Like, there are a lot of storylines there that you can see. I think in theory, it all sounds like a good idea, but then you think about this matchup and you're just like, how is Penn State going to score against this defense? Because nobody has really been able to. I mean, if Ohio State gets 28 points, you're probably covering this line. I don't know if Penn State scores more than a touchdown in this game. I'm staying away. This line was 17.5 in the look ahead. It's gotten bought up all the way to 20.5. It feels like the right number. It feels like Ohio State wins this game by maybe 17, maybe 24, somewhere in that neighborhood. I think we're going to get a great effort out of Penn State. It's still a super talented team. They do have the backup quarterback, but again, man, like, wouldn't it just be something if with Franklin gone and how these games have gone in past years, if Penn State shows up and maybe shocks the world on Saturday? So I'm staying away from that game. Vandy in Texas is super interesting. Another game where if before the year, imagine if you were getting Texas 1.5 at home against Vanderbilt in this game. Top 20 matchup. Both teams really needing a win. If Texas loses, their season's over. If Vandy loses, they get that second loss and are on the brink of missing out on the college football playoff. I think a majority of people are going to be on Vandy in this game just because they certainly passed the eye test. They certainly look way better. Texas has not been a good team this season on the road. They were fortunate to win the Mississippi State game, but they're back at home. And I think that's a big deal that Texas is back in Austin. I would lean towards Texas, but there's just something scary about betting against Vanderbilt, isn't there? Like, they just find ways to win games when you're watching their games and you're on the other side. If you had Missouri like I did last week, they were the right side in that game. They dominated. They should have won. But give Vandy credit. They found a way to get the job done, and that's what worries me about this game, is that Texas will be the right side. They'll probably dominate the stats. They should be up, and Vandy might just find a way to go into Austin and win the game. That team has so much confidence, so it's a stay away for me. I would lean, though, towards Texas to win the game. Number 10, Miami's at SMU as a 12.5-point favorite on Saturday. How about this stat for you guys? When this game kicks off on Saturday, on November 1st, it'll be the first time this season the Canes play a game outside of the state of Florida. Every game so far in their schedule has been at home, and then they played Florida State on the road. They've had 2 bye weeks so far as well. So their bye weeks are done. They have this game on the road at SMU and then 2 road games at Pitt and Virginia Tech to end the season. But this is the first time Miami is traveling out of the state of Florida to play a game, and here we are in November. So because of that, I'm betting SMU in the first half. Plus 6.5 would obviously be great if we get a plus 7. But again, it's the first game away from home, or first game out of the state. Like, I just don't expect Miami to come out of the gates and look clean in this game. SMU obviously playing for a right to maybe make the ACC championship game. You're playing one of the top teams in the league, in the country, so they're going to be fired up. Should have a good home crowd there. But I like the angle of SMU in the first half, with Miami maybe looking a little sluggish in the first 30 minutes and then figuring it out at halftime. Georgia and Florida and Jacksonville for their yearly meeting. Georgia, the number 5 team in the country. They're laying 70.5. The total is 50.5. First game the Gators are playing since getting rid of Billy Napier. So you get that bump from firing the head coach. You would expect Florida to show up. Last 4 meetings between these teams, Georgia has scored 34 points or more. So Georgia's been scoring a lot of points in these kind of games. And we've talked about Georgia's defense this year away from home. What Ole Miss, or what they've done in these big games, Ole Miss, Tennessee, their defense has not been good in a lot of these big games. I think Florida's going to be able to score. I think Georgia's going to be able to score as well. So the total at 50.5, I think, is too low. I like the over in that game. Number 15, Virginia, travels all the way across the country to take on Cal as a 4-point favorite. Virginia's luck box continues, right? We all know Virginia isn't probably a playoff caliber team. We know they're not winning the national championship, but they're having one of these magical seasons where they continue to win games, and they can win this one as well, but I don't know if they're going to win it by more than 4. It feels like a close game to me at Cal, so I like the Bears to keep that close. Give me Cal plus the 4. How about this line? Number 6, Georgia Tech, on the road, undefeated, taking on 4-4 NC State, and they're only a 5.5-point favorite. That is a stinky, stinky line, is it not? Georgia Tech now, of course, they played Duke a couple weeks ago. Duke, as an unranked team, was laying 3.5 in that game. Georgia Tech ends up winning it outright. So maybe this is just another one of these games where all the metrics, all the models are telling you Georgia Tech should only be a 5.5-point favorite, but they just kind of outplay what their stats are saying, and they find a way to win the game and cover the spread. NC State, I think it's also worth noting that before their bye week, since 2019, they're 1-7 against the spread. So this has not been a good team under Dave Doran. When that off week is in sight, they have struggled. Now, you do have an undefeated top 10 team coming into your building, so you would expect them to be highly motivated. I don't know, man. I don't know if NC State's a team that I want to trust, but that certainly is an interesting line. Tennessee laying 3 at home this week against Oklahoma in a top 20 matchup. I like the Vols in this one at -3. I just don't know how Oklahoma is going to keep pace with this Tennessee offense, right? Oklahoma's got a terrific defense. Ole Miss was able to put up numbers in the rain in Norman. Now the Sooners got to go on the road and play another really good offense in Tennessee. I just don't know if Oklahoma's going to score enough points to keep pace with the Vols. So I do like Tennessee -3 in that game. Nebraska and USC, we talked about it yesterday when USC was -7. So hopefully you got that number. Now it's down to 6.5. But I would still bet Nebraska. This is going to be a 1-score game. All Lincoln Riley USC road games in the Big Ten are 1-score games, and I would expect this one to be no different. I'd also look at some Nebraska money line as well. Nebraska's going to lean on the trenches on the ground game. I think they're going to muck it up, and they're going to hang around against USC. So I'll take Nebraska plus the points. And then Cincinnati and Utah, another game we got a great number on. We gave out Utah yesterday -7. They're all the way up to -9.5 now. It's a top 25 matchup. Cincinnati's undefeated in Big 12 play, and Utah is laying double digits just about at home, 9.5. I mean, look, that line is daring you to take Cincinnati, right? Because people are going to see that undefeated Big 12 record, that number 17 ranking. You're getting 9.5 points. So I don't know if I'd bet Utah at this point, but I don't think I could bet Cincinnati either, because that line is only telling you to take the Utes in that game against Cincinnati.